NJ Spotlight's roundtable on the future of New Jersey solar policy brought together key policymakers, interested members of the community, and leading solar vendors and their customers in a wide-ranging discussion moderated by Tom Johnson, NJ Spotlight's energy and environment editor. The future of solar policy is the first in an ongoing series of roundtables on clean energy presented by NJ Spotlight. This program is brought to you by SunPower, Sun Edison, and Sun Farm Network. This program features excerpts of the 90-minute panel discussion.
New Jersey's faltering economy, the solar industry is perhaps its fastest growing industry. It's created 3,000 jobs, more than 200 firms, and I think it's adding about 10 or 12 megawatts each month. Despite all that success, though, these are anxious times for some in the industry because the state is currently revisiting its energy master plan. There's talk about ratcheting down its aggressive solar goals, and there's even debate within the industry itself over who the winners and losers are going to be in the next 10 years.
It's such a wonderful thing that you can really see it. You know, homeowners can participate, the New Jersey businesses can participate to generate jobs. Those jobs are going to be local and also at the same time generating energy and putting it back into the operations. I think that's the most important thing. Prices are coming down because of the advances in technology and also the more market penetration, then it is going to bring down the prices also. And I think if you continue at this rate, I think we can have up to 14 gigawatts of capacity in New Jersey, and it will really address the issues with respect to energy master plan.
One thing that is great, globally, we're always under pressure with costs. No doubt this brought down our costs. We are kind of like the model of Shiseido. So one thing it has done, it's preserved our site in New Jersey. What we manufacture in cosmetics, believe it or not, we export 60% of it overseas. We're always challenged. We have facilities in Vietnam, China, France, and in Japan. But by having this investment, basically secures our site, I'll be honest with you. Now, did it add jobs? But it definitely preserved our site. And it was a good cost initiative as well. So all I could say is I really appreciate all the efforts, Chairman, that you have done.
Our farm's been in the family for 6 generations. And it's the oldest U-pick farm in New Jersey, started by my parents in 1964. I stumbled across solar power. I happened to be at a ag dinner, and my seat and my table was back-to-back to the executive secretary of New Jersey Farm Bureau. And I heard him talking to the people at his table about this new initiative, this new idea, this company called Sun Farm. And they were trying to get together and work it out that farmers would be willing to give them barn space for the roofing space if it faced south, and this way they could put these solar panels up on the roof. And the point they were trying to bring across was it wouldn't be an investment for the farmer. The farmer wouldn't have to invest any money into it at all. And then they would get a guaranteed 10% savings on their electric for the next 20 years. And then after that, the system was turned over to them. And I leaned back in my chair and I said, okay, I'm interested. We have 5 walk-in freezers on our farm and lots of other electrical motors running constantly, even irrigation systems during the day. Electric motors work most efficiently when the current is at top rate. And if you cut the current, you're cutting the life long-term over on electrical motor. It makes it work harder. So during the hot summer days when people are using a lot of air conditioning, your power company, whether it's PSE&G or any of those, what they're doing is they will cut it. Now you can look at a light bulb and it'll still look like 60 watts to you. But I can walk by an electric motor and I can hear the difference because it's struggling a little bit more. My motors don't struggle anymore because during the day I'm producing more than I use on the farm, and that is going back onto the street. And then, of course, coming back to me at night when the power's back up, and people have gone back to their homes and they're not keeping so much electric running on the grid and the temperature's cooled down.
Building about 5 gigawatts worth of solar by 2026 is about 5% of our total electricity supply. That's not all that exciting to me, given where we need to go. And we have countries like Spain and Germany that have built a heck of a lot more, so it's not a question of can we build this. We can absolutely build this.
There's some people who are very concerned, however, that the big mega solar projects that are coming online are going to gobble up all the SRECs and squeeze out the small players. And it's going to create problems for the diversity for the smaller firms that have relied on the rebates. I think this year there's only $3 million in the solar program. Are we squeezing out the smaller guys in this industry?
Well, I guess I'll just offer first the observation that it's interesting. On one hand, we might argue that we can't build enough solar, and then on the other hand, we might argue that we're building too much. So, I think that the most important thing to remember, and what I think that many folks in the industry have advocated for, is to maintain balance. I think it's critically important to have a diverse ecosystem, if you will, of businesses involved in solar. It certainly helps from an economic development standpoint and a job standpoint to have folks that are doing residential systems, small commercial systems, large commercial, and even utility scale systems. And I think that overall, the policy has done a nice job of balancing those objectives. We have programs in place today that support smaller projects. There are still, for this year and for next year, anticipated to be rebates for residential systems, along with the SREC Finance Program and the PSE&G Solar Loan Program, which all support in varying ways those different segments. And then, of course, for the very largest systems, some may still qualify for SRECs without any other rebates, and others may not qualify for SRECs at all. And we'll have to survive solely on the basis of the value of the power that they deliver to the grid. So I think that the market addresses diversity today, and I think we have to work hard to preserve that, but I think we've taken some good steps in that direction.
I just want to add one thing, and I guess I'm probably less qualified than Pam or Terry to deal with this because my company doesn't operate in the residential sector, but my observation is that that market is actually quite robust. You might be surprised that you're not in the minority. There's a very active and vibrant residential market, and I think one of the advantages of the New Jersey market-based competitive program is that it leads to innovation. And what we're seeing is the business model that we've used and Shiseido and the Ag Farm that made those projects possible, the PPA, Power Purchase Agreement, that enables the host customer to deploy solar with no upfront capital. And basically, in return, they put off all the technology risk, all the performance risk on the project developer and don't have to come up with any upfront cash. And in return, they get a stable priced power source for the next 15, 20 years. Well, that business model has now kind of evolved, and we're seeing it with greater frequency in the residential sector. We're also seeing loan programs offered by the utilities. PSE&G has a solar loan program. So again, addressing that first cost issue that had historically been an impediment to solar, those barriers are quickly coming down.
For each new megawatt of solar, which fuel are we backing out of the traditional generation?
Well, I think it's really driven by pricing. Generally speaking, solar is most productive, as you can imagine, at the middle of the day on the hottest days of the month or year. And so generally what solar is replacing is what it's competing with, which are the most expensive gas peakers, the older and more expensive plants that are only brought online to serve those peak load days. And so fundamentally, I think that's what solar replaces first as a peak resource. Over time, with more solar, it can begin to replace other resources as well.
The South Jersey ag-based economy will be destroyed and thousands of jobs will be lost. So I would like to know how the solar industry, as they're being very aggressive, and I agree that we need solar, but there needs to be legislation in place for appropriate placement on existing infrastructure, parking lots, malls, hospitals, colleges. And it seems that the push by the solar industry is to just put it on the cheapest, flattest, most available lands. But unfortunately, that is also the most destructive to the entire state. So how do you plan to address this?
First, I'll say the solar industry is not one voice. There are 200 to 300 companies that we know of. It keeps changing, currently active in the state. And I would not disagree with much that you said. I think we do need to find a balance. I think that's been attempted in a number of some laws that have been passed, maybe some further regulations and laws that need to be considered. But I think a balanced approach is appropriate. And I, for one, as a person in the solar industry and a lifelong New Jersey citizen, don't want to see farmland paneled over with solar panels. I don't think it's necessary to meet our goals. But the balance there is I don't also want to disenfranchise the agricultural community from enjoying some of those benefits as well. So let's find the balance. We've worked for years with the Farm Bureau to try to come up with, balanced and coherent policies, but none of us here can control what the 200 or 300 companies does or proposes. And there is a lot of speculation right now on a lot of large systems by a lot of folks and companies that don't really understand the New Jersey marketplace or culture or limits of our distribution system. So I share your concerns.
I'd like to comment on that, the ground mount, the farming and agriculture. They'll say it's agricultural land that it's having a ground mount on. But so many farms have a piece of ground, it could be an acre, it could be 2 acres, where they could plant crop year after year, never amounts to anything because of soil type, because of the lowness in the field, and they can't fix that. So that's just acreage. It's really not being used for anything. So I could see your concerns if they were looking to put right on great prime farm ground. But before you jump to conclusions, find out what the farmers are going to put it on, because I have yet run into a farmer that wants to take good ground and just put solar panels on it and really think they're going to make anything off of that. They haven't done their homework, and they'll find out quick enough.
I would like to put the discussion maybe in a bit broader context. I mean, speaking for Sun Edison, and I'm sure this is shared by Pam's company and Terry's, I mean, we support aggressive energy efficiency as, the fastest and cheapest solution. But at the end of the day, once we've exhausted all cost-effective energy efficiency, demand, other than this economic downturn, demand for electricity has been on the increase, and we do have older conventional fossil-fired nuclear power generation that at some point will reach the end of their useful life and will need to be replaced.
Just want to add one point about I think probably one of the most beneficial and often overlooked and sometimes obvious attributes about renewables and solar in particular is cost stability. So the military has a great acronym it's coined for describing the 21st century, which is VUCA, which stands for volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. And the one thing about the sun is that we know it's going to come up pretty much every day. It is not volatile, it is not uncertain, as are renewable resources. They're flows, not fuels, and subject to all the uncertainty that's inherent. And at the end of the day, one of the biggest benefits that solar is going to deliver to us as a society and ratepayers is not just environmental, but it's economic stability, cost stability, price stability, which is, I think, just often overlooked, but a profound and important benefit of a stable source of energy.
We hope you enjoyed this NJ Spotlight program on energy policy. If you have comments or suggestions about these programs, please email info@njspotlight.com. NJ Spotlight, where issues matter. For more information, visit www.njspotlight.com.